Hey, what's up guys, Mashin here, come back with a brand new video for you guys. Today we're going to be talking about everything an operation. You wanted it, I'm providing it, starting off here with when potentially we might see this. Now I made a whole video talking about this, but basically using math they were able to get a rough estimate of when potentially we might see this, coming down to the latest date being June 21st. At this point, it's probably not too realistic in the question, which is why I don't often refer to this sheet, basically because now we have the Counter-Strike 2 potentially coming that day, so things have kind of changed on that front. So I don't often refer to this, but it is always there if you do want to check it out. And we're going to be talking a little bit more after a quick word from today's sponsor. Are you looking to grab some of those great looking CS2 skins, but don't want to spend a ton of money on Steam tax selling off your current ones? Well, you don't have to with today's sponsor, Skins Monkey. Skins Monkey is a trading website that's currently offering you $5 free if you use code MasterShiny, or an additional 35% bonus on new deposits with the code MasterShiny. All you have to do is pick out the skins you no longer want, pick out the skins you do want, and send that trade. And if you don't have any skins, don't worry, they're giving away hundreds of dollars worth of skins all the time. I'm glad we got that out of the way because I always get a ton of questions of when it's coming, but talking about cases now, which is my favorite portion of this video. Now there's two different things we can talk about with cases, one of which is the discontinued cases from past operations, but more importantly I want to start with what's going to happen to your cases during an operation. Now there's two big things that you have to focus in on. One is active duty cases and the other is rare cases, basically any case that's not active duty. This is very important because when we look at a comparison between active duty cases, an image I love to show right here with the clutch case went down 50% during the span of Riptide, compared to the breakout case, which is a rare case, went down 30% during Riptide. And it's not like these are guaranteed to happen again, but it's a very good indicator of where the demand necessarily shifts to during an operation. We could obviously see that people were not as willing to sell off their breakout cases, or there just wasn't as many breakout case owners that were looking to sell compared to the active duty cases, which a lot of people had. I used the clutch case because it was the most expensive one, and we can see obviously that a lot of people were interested in selling off these cases in order to probably fund their operation endeavors. Let's be completely honest, no one is really selling off during this time if it's not for an operation. And just in case you're wondering on this front, this is when Stockholm was out, but the Stockholm sale was not on, so I can feel like that's pretty much not too relevant at this point. But talking about what's going to happen this time around, it's a very complicated question. Obviously the market has been very extreme. We're seeing active duty cases in every single case in general over $1, which would make this new operation case the cheapest case in the game to unbox. It's something I mentioned in my previous video about why Valve might not even up the drop rate because they're so reliant on people buying a ton of these cases directly from them. It's a very interesting predicament that we don't necessarily know what's going to happen. However, it's going to be a very large fiasco one way or another. This is going to be the cheapest case, which means it's probably going to be the most unboxed case during that time. It's going to have the newest skins, and we know the newest cases are always in the highest demand, so it could potentially have some major market implications. Now talking a little bit more about that case that's going to be discontinued and basically everything new that could be coming with an operation, we do have a rough outline of what we could possibly expect because of the past two operations being relatively similar. That's going to be Broken Fang and Riptide. If we want to look at the shops for these, we can see that we're probably going to be receiving a new set of agents, a new set of collections, most likely 3 to 4. Broken Fang had 3, Riptide had 4, and we're probably going to receive some smaller memorabilia on the side. This is probably a brand new sticker collection, maybe some patches, we've seen patches, and probably some graffitis as well. Now something like this is obviously an assumption, but we really can't make any other reasonable assumption based off the past couple. Shattered Web had pretty much the exact same thing, except it was a linear progression rather than you specifically buying things. But it does come down to what specifically you should do now. That's one of the greatest questions I always receive on videos like this, so let's get into it. There's a couple different routes you can take, the first of which is just going to be building up some funds. It's something I highly recommend to keep potentially like 3% of your total inventory in liquid items or things that even just you can sell instantly if you don't want to keep it in cash, just because this is going to be something that is very useful when an operation hits. When an operation hits, immediately the prices plummet, and there's two different things about this. One, it could be a very easy way for you to flip some skins in the short term if you think it's going to be a very quick recovery, but two, it's also going to be very bad for you if you're trying to sell during this time. Imagine prices go down 15% and then you're hit with another 15% sales tax on top of it. That's because even though the third-party sites are nice, you need to have Steam funds in order to buy anything during the operation directly from Valve. Therefore, your third-party sites are not going to do you any good during this time, and that's why I always keep at least some Steam funds on me just in case something like this happens out of the blue. Otherwise, to go along with that, I've got a full video talking about what specific items you should be looking at, because there are certain areas of items that really have a lot of profit potential and there's some areas that really don't. To go along with that, there are specific investments you can make beforehand. If we want to look generally at past trends, we see usually filler skins are on the rise when we see an operation. They're already starting to get a little bit expensive, so you might have to debate if it's a good investment or not. Usually these items generally go up during an operation because people are churning out more trade-ups, and therefore these skins are just more in demand during that time. Now, if we wanted to generalize basically what's going to happen when an operation releases, probably everything's going to go down to a certain extent. I mean, we mentioned that before with the breakout and the clutch case both going down. You can see nearly every item went down, along with a ton of play skins on screen. But the thing is, some of these items stay low for a long time. Some of them have lower dips than others, so it's very important you know what specifically you should be selling or potentially holding onto during this time. If you've got an item that's a little bit more unique or a little bit more expensive, it's probably not going to be impacted as much compared to something that's very liquid, very volatile. Things like your active duty cases, which I've mentioned time and time again, are probably going to be the most volatile during this time. You can see here how in January of 2022, it was actually the Riptide case that was being unboxed more than the clutch case, and the clutch case obviously dominated for a while after. But you can see, even for that short period of time, people were more interested in the operation case than the clutch case, which we obviously know has been unboxed a ton. Basically, when that operation releases, you're going to be stressed, and the biggest thing I don't want you to do is do something stupid and instantly quick sell all of your items because you're getting stressed in that moment and you think you just want to get into these brand new Riptide options. You're going to have so many new times to get into these operation items or whatever comes out that I don't want you to rush into anything. Valve is focused on money. They're not going to introduce content and take it out a week later, and the market may even have a chance to fully recover by the time the operation is coming to a close. It's something that there's a lot of time to do, so don't be stressed out and immediately quick sell all of your items because you will have a chance to recover. And then coming to the end of this, what does all of this necessarily mean? If I have to give you 3 main points to walk away from this video with, the first one is just going to be prepared. You need to be prepared if you want to be in the best position for the operation, and if you're not, you're just setting yourself back a little bit. The second of which is going to be don't get tricked. There's a ton of people who are going to try and take your money during an operation. There's a lot of content creators that suddenly just pop up when an operation comes around, and you need to be careful. And the last thing is there's going to be investment pandemonium no matter what. People have been waiting on an operation for probably about 1.5 to 2 years by the time it rolls out. Things are going to be a little bit crazy, and you need to make sure you don't get overwhelmed and you come to the correct sources to figure out what you should do. But that is pretty much all I have for today. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, and I do hope you have a great rest of your day.